Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today it is time for another edition in my series of 5 random CDs from my collection. You know the deal by now. I do one of these every month where I just select 5 random CDs that maybe I've had in the car that week that are in my collection that I want to talk about. And today we got some very good albums to discuss. So I'm not going to spend too much time getting into this. Let's just get it started. Kicking it off today, I'm going with what I consider to be an all-time classic, although I think they are pretty underrated. This band only released this one and only album back in the 90s. This is Swedish melodic black metal at its finest, and I am talking about Vinterland with Welcome My Last Chapter. If you are unfamiliar with this band, this will be for fans of bands like Dissection, Sacramentum, Dawn, things in that vein, but this, in my mind, is one of the shining moments in Swedish black metal history. This is just such an amazing album. The guitar work here is top-notch. The melodies are going to stick in your head. The vocals are rough, but it still all flows together so seamlessly, and these songs just stand the test of time. This still sounds as fresh today as it did back in the 90s. This is, like I said, an all-time classic. If you have not heard this band, you need to change that immediately if any of the bands that I just said are bands that you like. Because if you're a fan of Dissection, give this a listen. It's very much in the same vein and just as goddamn good. You got songs like Wings of Sorrow to close this album off. One of my favorite songs ever. Vinterskogen has absolutely amazing guitar melodies, really front to back. There's no weak moments here. This is an absolutely killer black metal album. Needs more love. Go check out Vinterland if you have not. All right, up next, gonna switch it up completely from there, and we're gonna talk about some melodic death metal kind of mixed with power metal. I'm talking about Children of Bodom with their debut album Something Wild. So Children of Bodom is from Finland, obviously one of the more well-known bands in the specific subgenre and style of melodic death metal. I will say I'm not a fan of everything Children of Bodom ever did, but their early works still stand the test of time to me. This album, like Something Wild, as well as Hate Breeder and even Follow the Reaper, I still enjoyed those albums. Those are really the only ones I ever go back to at this point. I don't really listen to any of the later stuff. But this, for a debut, is a very killer record. Alexi Laiho's guitar playing is on full display here. Maybe the songwriting is a little bit rougher. It's still got that power metal edge to it. But with the aggressive melodic death metal, you got songs on here like Red Light in My Eyes Part 1 and 2, Lake Bodom, an all-time classic, Touch Like Angel of Death, another just classic song. I love the artwork as well. You got the Grim Reaper there. Just all in all, a fantastic record. Great guitar work throughout that it's going to stick in your head. The melodies will stay with you. If you've never really given them a fair shot because maybe you just heard their later stuff and weren't into it, I understand, but don't write off these early albums. This one's great. Solid release. All right, up next, we've got an all-time classic, but another underrated band in my opinion. This time we're going with some new wave of British heavy metal with Grim Reaper and their debut album, See You in Hell. So this, yeah, obviously for fans of anything in the new wave of British heavy metal, you like stuff like Priest or Maiden, this will probably be up your alley. The vocalist Steve Grimmett just has a great wail. Maybe the songwriting on this debut is not as polished as their contemporaries or even as much as their subsequent albums. It's pretty simplistic songwriting. It's very repetitive, but the vocals and the choruses and the hooks will still stay with you. See you in hell, my friend. I see you in hell. Just fucking awesome. You're going to be singing along in no time. Pretty much every song here, after you hear it once, you will be singing along because it's, like I said, it's very simple and catchy and hooky. But if that's what you're looking for, look no further. Still, the musicianship is decent. Like, this isn't gonna blow your socks off with technicality here. Like I said, it's kind of a simplistic approach to songwriting on this debut, but I love this album. I love the energy, and I love the vocals most of all. Great album art as well. See You in Hell, Grim Reaper, all-time classic. All right, after that, let's switch to some power metal with one of my favorite power metal records of all time, and that is Gamma Ray with Land of the Free. So this is their fourth full-length album, but the first to feature Kai Hansen on lead vocals after Ralph Scheepers left after the first few records. And all the better for it. Nothing against Ralph Scheepers, but my favorite Gamma Ray albums are the ones where Kai Hansen is singing. This one started a run of just stellar albums all in a row, released right after each other, like Somewhere Out in Space and Power Plant, New World Order. Just keep it going. Amazing power metal albums, but today we're talking about Land of the Free. Like I said, one of my favorite power metal albums ever. If you're unfamiliar with the band, of course, Kai Hansen founded Helloween, but then left after a few albums. He wanted to do his own thing, and that's what this is. And you listen to Walls of Jericho, his vocals there are not very polished at all, but by the time he's on here, he's kind of cleaned up his approach, and he's got a very melodic way of singing, and it suits his songwriting so well. Like, Kai Hansen is a god to me. Like, his guitar playing and songwriting for power metal is just next level. The melodies that he writes and the songs that he's written over the course of how many bands and how many albums is just unreal. You've got amazing songs on here like Rebellion in Dreamland, one of the best Gamma Ray songs ever. Gods of Deliverance, Farewell features Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian, which of course is going to be cool. You also got some guest vocals from Michael Kiske on Time to Break Free. This whole goddamn album, the title track, Land of the Free, just amazing, amazing stuff. If you're into power metal at all and for some reason have never checked out Gamma Ray, change that. Go start with this album. Might just knock your socks off. All right, we got one more to talk about today. We're going to go with some Canadian content with some black metal with Spectra Wound and their album A Diabolic Thirst. So I felt like talking about this one because they have a new album on the horizon. So I thought, hey, let's go back, revisit this album this last week. Was listening to it in the car. I'm like, let's throw it on this list here today. I know I've talked about this album enough on this channel, but nonetheless, I'm going to talk about it again today. So this is raw black metal, but there's still great melodies, and these songs will stick in your head. When I say melodies, I don't want to call this melodic black metal. That's not really what this is. This is more on the raw side. It's got a very Finnish black metal feel to it. Think of a band like Sargeist, but they're putting their own spin on it, and these songs and riffs will just stay with you. Frigid and Spellbound, you will be singing it. Frigid and Spellbound. It's just fucking awesome. Mausoleal Drift as well. You will just get sucked into these songs. This whole album, front to back, is just killer, Finnish style black metal, but with the Quebecois touch as well. The Quebec black metal scene is so good that there's so many bands, and yes, there's some similarities between the bands in their sound, but I like what Spectra Wound's doing here, kind of putting the Quebecois vibe with it, but then combining it with those Finnish influences and just making something kind of all their own. Yeah, a solid black metal release. Looking forward to their new one as well. If you have not heard them before, go check out all their albums before the new one comes out. But yeah, this one is a solid release from a few years ago that you should definitely be listening to. So anyways, those are 5 albums for today. You can look forward to another one of these next month. Let me know what you think of these 5 albums. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So until next time, Hammer Heart Metal Reviews out.